Go ahead.
Okay. Good morning. It's August 2nd, 2016. I'll call the Wright County Board meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I don't want it to go off track. The minutes of July 26th.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion we approve the minutes.
I'll second that, but I do have just a slight correction.
Okay, what is it, Chris?
Under Advisory Committee, Advisory Board updates, number 2, Marty, I believe their last name is spelled M-A-R-T-I-E.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right on that one. So there's 2 spots to change that.
I'm okay with that change.
So, okay, a motion and a second by Houston with the 1 correction and 2 spots there. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Both same sign. Motion carries unanimous. The agenda for today, Lee's got a couple items.
Yes, Mr. Chair, if I could add under items for consideration, I'd like to schedule a committee of the whole to continue discussion on our nuclear committee of the whole from earlier in the year.
Okay. Item 6A2, schedule committee of the whole. Nuclear, kind of the future where that's going to be, I guess. And then I think your second one is probably the same one Adam's up here for. So Adam, why don't you go ahead and relay it to me?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. I'd like to add to the agenda today signing of an updated contract from AGC for our phone support contract. We had a very slight change come through, and this was one that was approved and signed by the board on the 5th of July.
Okay, consent agenda K will be IT department, and that will be this AGC contract then, if that works for people. Are folks okay with that being on the, or did somebody want to have a further discussion on that?
No, since we've already approved it.
Okay. Thanks, Adam. Anything else to add to the agenda or amend on the agenda? If not, can we get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Potter, second by Commissioner Delyden to approve the agenda with the 2 additions. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Consent agenda.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to pull A off of there for the action report, just for a little discussion.
Okay.
I'll move the rest of it.
Motion by Commissioner Burrell to move the balance of the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Delyden. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Commissioner Delyden, go ahead and take item A, please.
Yeah, what I would like to do is start looking at more of the online auction instead of having the physical one. I think if we tried the online auction for some of those other things, I think we'd find that we would get better exposure and probably increase the revenues a little bit, because it's been steadily decreasing over the years.
I agree with you because we've been doing really good on that online, bringing in more money than I ever thought.
Well, the IT is definitely it's been a much improvement from them compared to what they used to get at the physical auction. I would like to see at least them try a few of the different things. I think that this administration, Mr. Lee, you have something?
We've been putting out a few items out there, not in a large volume. Since last year's physical sale, we had less to go on this year's auction, which reduced the revenue. Also, as you know, the IT equipment we've been doing primarily, in fact, almost exclusively online, so that's no longer going to the physical auction. So our revenue from the physical auction has dropped over the past years, but I think we do have a good opportunity to do more online.
Yeah. I'd like to see at least us try a few of the different things, maybe some of the cars or some of the police. Let's see how we compare, put a few out there and see how it compares to what we've been getting at the physical auction. But seeing what other counties are doing and other cities, and they're doing them all online auctions, I'd have to say that you're getting more exposure and you're going to get more money for the stuff.
Mr. Chair?
Commissioner Potter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Delyden, I think that before we decide anything, one of the discussions should take place with the Sheriff's Department, because I'm not sure how those forfeited cars fit in versus online versus being there physically. I'm not sure if there's any legal entanglements in there with how that is.
Well, I've seen other counties and other
Have
cities
done it.
doing it online.
Just think, talking with the Sheriff's Department to make sure
Well,
that
I
they
agree.
understand and
But
are with it.
That's why at least some of the retired police, or some of the retired sheriff's vehicles, I think we should try at least online. Instead of them sitting there for 3 or 4 or 6 months before the auction comes, and I don't know how long they really are sitting, but I think it's well worth a look-see.
I have a question on this recap sheet. The last line says total auction and online revenues, but then it does not include IT online sales. Why is IT online sales not part of online revenues?
Right.
Why is that, for example, in 2014, the $71, and in 15, the $6,465? Why are they not part of the end line? Is an online sale not an online revenue, or what is that trying to differentiate?
I think the point was just to differentiate what we've made online. So you're asking why it's not included in the total on the end?
That number. and that
Isn't it included?
last one.
Well, total auction and online revenues, it doesn't include IT online sales. Isn't IT online sales an online revenue?
Right.
So why isn't it included in auction revenues and online revenues? Anybody else understanding what I'm
No,
saying?
yeah, because they sold the computers out at the old auction before, there's no reason we should be able to compare it on here, so. I would think it would be included.
Let's see, what I'd like to see is a breakdown of what we actually got for some of that stuff too. That would kind of help you figure out whether or not it is worth
Say
putting
that
them
it's not
online.
included.
It is the first time the proceeds and that one add up to that last number.
I mean, if it said total auction revenues, I'd understand, but it says, includes the word online revenues, and isn't IT online sales and online revenue?
But it's this one and this one add that number, that's it.
Yeah, if you add the net auction proceeds.
No,
to
I
the
understand,
online
but I just
sales.
can't, I'm just trying to figure out, is that heading wrong? Did somebody is that heading wrong? Should it just say total auctions?
Commissioner Wordsmith?
Or to- Is the DWI auction a live auction out at the facility?
Yes,
Is the DTF auction a live auction out at the facility?
yes, it is.
Okay. Then the county auction revenue is a live auction out at the facility, correct?
Yes.
So the last line should say total auction revenues. Right?
Instead of total auction and online.
Either that or the numbers should be changed to include the online sales, but
Well, the net auction proceeds and the IT online sales equals the total auction and online revenues. And they just have it broke down,
Into the,
you know what I mean?
it does equal it.
So
The net
this
go ahead.
plus this equals that.
Oh, maybe I was reading it wrong then.
These are just breaking it down. So this is what we've got for the DWI, this is DTF, and this is from the county.
Yes,
yeah.
those three equal that number. that
Okay,
plus that equal
I
that
guess I was looking at it wrong. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
That's why nobody's seeing what I'm saying here, because I guess I'm,
Seeing something different.
yeah, I don't know what I was, okay, very well. Okay, I'm not sure why I was reading that differently, but okay, I guess it looks right to me, I guess.
Anyway, that's my total idea for pulling it, is just that we should have looked at least a couple of the sheriff's vehicles and put them out there on the online auction just to see if there is a difference. And compared to what we have been getting at the physical auction.
And it might be less labor intensive for us to do it that way also.
Well, like I said, they're not sitting around and getting out and getting our money back as fast as possible.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, since the cab company is no longer interested in the Crown Vics, that might open a broader audience if you,
I don't know how many more Crown Vics we have left anyway.
probably not too many.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what I was seeing there. For some reason,
Anyway, I'll make a motion to approve it, but with the caveat that we need to start looking at other alternatives.
I'll second that.
Motion by Delight, second by Houston. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Post same sign, motion carries unanimous. Okay. Lee Kelly, Courts Architectural Services Request for Proposals.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You should have a copy of this included in your packet. I hope you've had an opportunity to review. I know working through this, there's been quite a few different changes made to the draft. As you will recall, this is a follow-up to board action back in 21st of June when the board requested that an RFP be drafted, and so we're bringing that back today. Hoping it meets your satisfaction, and we'd like to get it out to the public if possible. So I would entertain any questions. I know there's a few folks here representing the bench and others that have provided input in drafting this. I'm sure they'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Mr. Chair.
Excuse me? Mike?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
The last committee, when we met, where there was a lot of redundancies and sort of cleanup of the language in here, and unless I missed one, it appears that they've caught pretty much, if not all of them. I mean, I didn't see anything that just stuck out at me. Like last time it was a lot of double talk, which is a lot clearer than what it was before. That, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the Courts Architectural Service request for proposal.
And I'll second it.
Motion by Potter, second by Delyden. Any further discussion? I know it references the 90,000 square feet. Does the document reference the study done by the gentleman that presented it to us in the back?
Yes, it
Yeah,
does. The National Center for State Courts information will be provided to anybody that may be a prospective respondent to the RFP.
Okay.
Certainly, this is based heavily on the previous work that's been done, so.
In the background, 2015 reports.
Okay. And what is the due date of the proposals?
We were hoping to have it out for about a month at minimum, so that would bring back the response date in September here. We'd also, pending the date of which this is approved, would be planning a on-site visit for anybody that's interested in sending a response. So it kind of starts that timeline.
Okay. And I know we had talked about it, and Commissioner Burrell had specifically thought it was a good idea because I think the school district had done something like it, but where are we at with a tour of some of these other facilities that are out there?
I was just gonna ask.
Sure. You know, we have a few in the state that have been built over the last couple years. I know there's several counties that are in the process of doing some. I know Polk was one that there was a great deal of interest in checking out. Logistically, that's a lot of hours away, but we could plan something and coordinate. Were there others that the group was hoping to see in the 10th Judicial District or others? Or I know when Alan had kind of done some research of those recently built. I mean, Yellow Medicine is another one that's far away. That was a 2015 project. Olmsted's working on something now, so I guess it's kind of how far do you want to travel?
I think we should be realistic, Mr. Chair, in choosing some places that aren't hundreds of miles away.
Mr. Chair, a couple of years ago, Judge Tenney and I actually toured Washington County Courts, and it was last year during a transportation thing with AMC. I was down in Freeborn County, and I toured their courts and was given the whole the full explanation of what happened there, and that was one of the, when we were doing the request for proposal for remodeling, that was one of the bidders there, one of the architects there had done that one. So I was trying to find courts that these people that were actually coming forward to see what they've done, look at their work, and ask the people there what they thought. Those are the two I've looked at. Sherburne County, I've been in that one before, but not recently. again, if you want to go far away, that's fine, it's good. But there's enough around here to look at. Carver County, I've been told, is another one we want to look at.
Has that been built recently, or?
Was it 10, 12 years ago? But it's fairly recent. It's not turn of the last century. Those are things that are close enough to actually get a grasp on.
Actually, that would be about the
Pretty
turn of
close,
that
but-
century. No, not century.
Or, well, the turn of this century, the last one, I'm not sure which way you call it, but Charlie?
Well, I'm not really, interested. I want to see something that differentiates, and the one at Crookston for $150 a square foot really interests me. I actually called up the Klein McCarthy, I believe, was the architect, and he said that facility, he said they did use tip-ups. He said, yeah, labor might have been a little savings, but that was not the predominant thing. He said the fixtures inside are very nice, but he said they're not the super top end. He said there's a lot of things that they did like that, and I know our judges here are saying we don't need the Taj Mahal, we need function, and I want to see that because it's a total differentiates on the price, and I want to see what that looks like. I can go down to Washington County and see what the Taj Mahal looks like, but I don't want to buy the Taj Mahal anyway, so it doesn't really interest me to go
On the
there.
commissioner's salary or not.
No, I agree, Charlie, it would make sense to view that one in particular, and I think we did kind of see it 2 or 3 on the report that.
I looked at pictures.
Alan gave us.
I looked at pictures online from the architect, and it does look nice. Now, whether we can come up, and I think this is possible with using the tip-up technology, whatever, to make it blend in with our existing facility, because I think that's somewhat important too, but they have these tip-ups with all kinds of different designs and colors and everything like that, so.
Yeah, another one with Pine County was not, if you want to go on the real inexpensive.
Yeah, that's not so
That's
far
another
away.
And
one.
we
That's
could
not so
maybe
far
do
away.
that, either on the way up or the way down or something too, so.
Opposite direction.
Judge McPherson?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, that's what I was going to suggest, is Pine County is not far, and that's a very,
Basic, bare
a
bones.
basic courthouse focused on function. And it provides a nice contrast to Washington County, which is more the Taj Mahal courthouse. The piece that folks may be interested in Washington County, if you want to see this, I don't know that you need to see it, but they did a lot of shelling out of space to save cost down the road. And the National Center for States Courts did propose that we shell out at least 1 to 2 courtrooms. So if you want to see how that looked when they did that, certainly that would be worth going to Washington for that. But Pine is a nice, functional, basic courthouse that just makes sure that the needs are met.
What was Pine, who was the architect for Pine?
I don't recall.
Okay, Mike, do you remember, do you know?
I believe it was BKV Group.
BKV?
KB, they did Freeborn County also.
Did Klein McCarthy, did they propose for our last project?
Yes, they
They
did.
did, okay.
They're one of
So they'll
our,
probably be proposing for this one. And that'd be another thing too, it'd be nice to, I don't know if we probably we'll get similar proposers, but there could be someone different and someone maybe that didn't before, but, I know the BKV people were kind of a finalist, so it'd be nice to maybe see one of their buildings, but I agree with Charlie that I know it's a ways off, but when you're spending $40 million, or what did we say in the end, 30-some million?
33,
plus
36, something like
33 plus up to about 40 with the soft costs then?
So
I
a $10
don't
million
think, I don't think
difference.
driving 3 hours is probably out of the question, but,
Agreed.
I think we need to dust off Alan's document as far as,
4 or 5 to Crookston.
which ones have been done recently and kind of compare who the architects are. And I don't know that we need to see 2 by the same architect that are probably similar. And of course, it doesn't pay for us to go see one where they maybe shoehorned it in somewhere and had to have a different type of construction, because that's not what we're doing.
Right.
And we're not interested in the most expensive ones either, because, so, but I guess I'd like to see tour a couple.
Yeah,
Sure, the architects would be more than happy to walk us through these facilities.
Get your pilot's license. You can fly them up.
Well, yeah.
Oh,
but
we got a
you'd have
van,
to-
we'd get
you
up
would
there
have to
and
have,
probably hit 2 in one day.
I could go up.
Hit Pine and then hit the other one over.
I could go up in the Cessna, but only 3 of you get to come with,
Well, depending which ones you picked, it maybe it would be 2. But, okay, I think we already got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Do you have a pilot license?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. And already down to items for consideration. Building Committee, Commissioner Potter, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The Building Committee met on July 27, 2016. Members present, Potter, Delyden, Kelly. Others present, Wilczek, Hatfield, Dunning, Judge McPherson, Judge Tenney, Harrington, and Stevens. We had a lot of discussion, a lot of things going on. The first one was the courtroom bench remodel designs. As you know, the first draft came back a little bit expensive. We came back with something a little bit closer to bare bones to see what can we get by with until the ultimate build of a new court is. In courtroom 1, there was the more moving the witness stands. There are pictures in here referencing each courtroom, and it's a flip side from one side to the other to see what the current or what the proposed is. So you got to work back and forth on that. And when we're looking at all these things, we're trying to keep it cost effective. They can still get the functionality, get the job done. Just to break it down and not, instead of reading it all, for courtroom 1, it was basically all of them are adding the clerk stations to make them more functional in there. In courtroom 1, it came up to about $19,950, which, well, it's not a long-term solution, but it meets the very short term, and I think the Monica was okay with that. Courtroom 2 was the current conditions. That one was discussed the ultimate removing of. We moved it earlier to subcommittee because that one was, if I remember, that was the least expensive one to remodel. But the clerk stations, if that's the one that the two would be at separate levels. And I think that one has some, there was the interior issues with that where you can only go one place and that was it. You really didn't have much options which would go in there. And that price here, that clerk station came up at $12,900, and it'll be functional for, you'll get a couple years out of this. Courtroom number 5 presented a little bit more of a challenge because there's a couple different ways to go on this. The ones they elevated, because if that's the one with the door in the back, so you still have to have the door functional. And that had the one elevated clerk station. One was, the idea was either one elevated or one not, or both of them the same level, and hence the difference in the project cost between $12,900 and $21,900. And the discussion at the building committee was because Monica and her staff hadn't got a chance to look at this, we were going to leave it up to them to decide which way they want to go with this, what was important. And Monica, if you've got a word to chime in on this, it would be great for the rest of them to hear, because
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. We have been looking at our courtrooms, and actually we have a bench meeting this afternoon where we're going to have some further discussions about it. But we really are truly committed to doing the most fiscally responsible option. And so ideally, it's not the best for my clerks to not be on the same level because they would be working together and needing to do the pass-through to the judge and stuff. But if we can get by in courtrooms 2 and 5 with having just the one clerk elevated to make that pass-through with the judge and still be able to work with the clerk who would be a step below her, that is what we're going to try to make work.
so the question here is, when you had a chance to talk with your staff, and Commissioner Delight and I both, you get a chance to talk to your staff, is the option B, is that the one that was more prudent and more workable? Because that one had the challenge of putting the papers over more so than the other one.
Yeah, so I think, we've talked about it as far as the clerks and my staff go. I want to be able to have that discussion with the bench this afternoon at the bench committee meeting, because obviously this affects the judges too, and their relationship to the clerks and just the exchanging of both documents and information if they're trying to have a conversation with the clerks. So hopefully we will have a final decision tomorrow after we have that discussion at the bench meeting today.
Okay. Just want to have that out there so people knew why there was two options on this one versus the other ones that were basically, this is what we're going to do.
Right, and I think the reason they did the two options is just as you said. I mean, we wanted to have the ability to keep them at the same height if we really felt that we couldn't make it work with them on different levels. But if we feel we can make it work with them at different levels, that's what we're going to do, because we realize the price is more cost effective.
Is the courtroom fraud, that's the in custody? one?
Correct.
Okay, so that's a little bit more intense than
Right.
than other
Heavy
ones.
traffic, especially within
Traffic
custodies.
accessibility and that, and we still have to deal with what's there. So you'll, even though we kind of left it up to, the building committee kind of left it up to you to make the decision which way to go
Right.
on this. You were going to consult functionality, but you weren't available.
Right.
So it's so with the modifications there, and you said you're going to meet this afternoon to get that. In the analysis with all, thank you very much.
Sure.
And the recommendation was to approve the modifications, total cost not to exceed $60,000, with a final decision on courtroom 5, option A and B, to be determined by Monica Trumper. And so if you add them all up, we're still under $60,000. We're still within reason, even if they took option B versus A. That's the recommendation on that. The next item up there was modifications to Human Service Center, room 127. Wilczek gave us an updated status on 127. That's the kind of the conference room in the back corner. I have a hard time keeping all these numbers of rooms straight. The north emergency entrance and the movable partitions. Partitions finishes will be selected by Health and Human Service in order. Delivery installment and time frame is not yet received. Huffcore was the one we had talked about before going with because it didn't rely on modifications to the roof structure they could fit in without the unknown factor, which was kind of, we didn't want to get something we didn't know we were getting into there. And there's really no recommendation on this except for just keep moving forward. The door specs are being bid. We're trying to get 2 bidders. So far, we've only had 1, but trying to get 2 bids on that and then move forward with that. Item number 3 was the annex bathroom, the restroom, excuse me. Wilczek provided us an update on the project status. Product manufacturer's recommendations were sent to Tiffany Townsend from Nelson Architects, and this, after discussion with Hatfield, is working on review finish options for the projects. And this one here is, we're getting the project ready for release for bid solicitations. Delighted and recommend we keep moving forward this bid for completion likely in 2017, because as you know, we've done a lot of site improvements this year. It's not likely going to fit in this year into the budget or likelihood of construction, so looking for a 2017 on that one, because it's, whether it's done in December or February, it's not going to really matter that much on that one. Item number 4 is the Public Works deferred maintenance and remodeling. Wilczek provided us a status update with the architectural work, the consulting work, and the shop area modifications. Basically, the roof will have to be opened up to view the system again. It kind of did a sneak peek, and this is the administration area versus the shop area. And again, going with Tiffany Townsend with the Nelson Architects, advising the code change to make sure that what Steve Job provided us with a sketch drawing actually meets all the codes as far as ingress, egress, fire, everything else to do with that. And the codes will be reviewed to the parks, the surveyors, and the extension committee for review of what the changes to what Steve Job had put out there. Upon review and their comment to the, we'll move forward with that one and try to get a contractor. The other part was the overhead door project with this Parks Department. This was a kind of a previously approved one to change the overhead door to match the long trailer and everything. They've got a overhead door company out of Northland contractor to meet the project, the scope within the approved budget not to exceed $20,000. The other item was the dust collector system under bid and rewarded contract participated needs not to exceed $40,000. And these were just, there's no real recommendation, just completing going forward. The 5th item, and this was enough talk here, Wilczek also provided us a update on the site that this is the compost facility storm damage, review and removal of debris, and the TKDA, who the original firm who designed the site, they met on Tuesday the 26th, and they'll have to come back with a more of a complete report, but there is some issues there on all the, what was it, the girts that were all the screws that put them together. It's kind of like an erector set, how they put it together. They're all have been compromised to the point of how far do you want to go on this. There's significant corrosion on the wall panels and the girts. There's some corrosion on the trusses, but not enough to warrant getting our engineer in there to worry about that part. The roof has been leaking. The vertical walls have mild to no corrosion. The tip-up floor is in good staging area for material on the site in the past. And the question is, where do we do this? The corner beam that's the main support there has to be replaced. It has to be repaired. Either way you slice it, because that's not salvageable. And we're talking about other places could be used for storage. One item is the hangar, but the zook is in the way, that needs to get out of there. But then the question is, would it be a wind tunnel down there and actually blow everything around? So there's questions to be answered that. Another discussion was with Stevens was a potential use of the fines treatment building, which is the one to the west of the big building. There's another option for some storage of different things in there. There's equipment in place that have to be removed, but it's in good shape, so we're still assessing and getting more information on damaged wall panels. And also we had the number for a couple of companies to remove the existing debris that was on the site, and Alan was going to get that, some people out there to get that removed. The recommendation was wait for a full engineering report to come back that we're still waiting on, and submit to the insurance group adjuster. Discussions plan the site and the facts have been gathered. It was also recommended that we reach out to the scrap metal guys, see if they want to come get the site, and I believe Al has taken care of that already, because of what my thing is. And so still waiting on engineer's report. And it was very lengthy, Mr. Chair, and I apologize for that, but there was a lot of things we discussed. And with that, I make a motion to approve the minutes and the recommendations and the ones that, everything else in that.
Motion by Potter, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Delyden. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
I understand.
Motion carries unanimous. Personnel Committee.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chair. The Personnel Committee met on July 27th, 2016. Members present, Hewsome, Sawatsky, Kelly. Others present, Hess, Tagaro, Strobel, and Hawkins. And the first item was the request to hire an IT position above the 12% of beginning hiring range. A new senior developer was approved on January 1st of this year as part of our budget this year. We're currently on the second recruitment cycle to fill this position, and they received 2 applications this cycle and identified just 1 finalist. The candidate has 27 years of experience and is requesting the top of the range, or to be at the top of the range within a year. The request to offer position above the 12% of the minimum salary range. And the recommendation was to approve the request to offer above 12% of the minimum salary range. The second item was performance review for Adam Tagaro, our Information Technology Director, and recommendation is based on 4 reviews received. The committee recommends a rating of meets expectations. Number 3, the performance review of Virgil Hawkins, our highway engineer. And the recommendation, based on 4 reviews received, the committee recommends a rating of exceeds expectations. So, Mr. Chair, with that, I will move the minutes and the recommendation.
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion by Hewsome, second by Potter. Lee, did the first person accept the position, or?
What I've heard is we're waiting on the final approval today. They are interested in that 12% range. So what is approved will work for the candidate.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Technology Committee, Mark, please.
Technology Committee met on 27th. Lots of people present: Burrell, Delyden, Hawkins, Hevila, Hoffman, Parlo, Tagaro, Kelly, Cooper, Strobel, Virgin, Nelson, Burkhart, Vaith, Meyer, and Woods. A couple things were discussed. Everbridge mass notification was presented by Hannah Woods, the Emergency Preparedness Coordinator from Public Health. The county is looking at replacing the current emergency notification system. We're currently using Code Red. We have a year-long contract with Code Red. We're not looking at switching this year, but maybe in the future. We've had an incredible number of issues with Code Red. The whole idea behind the system is to notify county citizens of emergency situations such as evacuation notices, weather alerts, active shooter events, public safety events. The current system is completely unreliable and often non-functional, and the problem consists of booting us out of the system and failing to deliver messages. The other issue is that there's things that can't get changed in there. They've been trying to work on a few things since January that they still can't get changed
They're not
on the
getting
Code
the
Red.
support, yeah.
Hmm?
They're not getting the
Yeah,
support.
no support at all. There's a number of different companies. The advantage of Everbridge, it has two-way communication. And Commissioner Burrell had said he loves to see his text messages, and Everbridge can provide text messages where Code Red can't, so. There are very limited use or companies out there that do this, but we can also tie it and allow it to tie it in with the cities. They can work with us on it, so they could deal with it on a city basis. So there's a lot. Everbridge is more expensive, but it has a lot more going for it. Dakota, Carver, Ramsey, Rice, and Steele County all currently use it. OpenGov is a cloud-based financial reporting system. Our current financial system is IFS, which generates financial reports as PDF, and then are emailed to departments. The whole idea behind OpenGov is to share the financial data with the public in an easy-to-use format, to be able to drill down on things. It's most useful for the Auditor Treasury Department for financial reports. The use for the product for non-financial data is also available, but it really at this point is more geared for financial stuff. So at this point, the impact on IT would be minimal. The Sheriff's Office and Health and Human Services expressed that they could find value in the tool for tracking their financial data. So the recommended was to expand the proof of concept to the Sheriff's Office. And the Sheriff's Office has a difficult time with the IFS system, trying to drill down where this may make life much simpler for them to have an easier way to keep track of their budgets and stuff. The action on that item was to demo it with the other departments, so proof of concept, mostly with the Sheriff's Department. If we can make it easier for the Sheriff's Department, then there's probably a lot more going for it, because it takes less time. How did you put it, Charlie, that if Bob keeps his mouth shut and Lindsay, is it? Lindsay understands a lot better than Bob does.
This is, no, when Lindsay was given our demonstration at the technology meeting, I told Bob, I said, why didn't you have her show it to us first?
Lindsay had
But
experience with this in another.
She is very, very sharp on that, so.
Yeah.
And this is the same system that Bob did bring in here, but we're just looking into it a little further, so.
Yeah, we're trying to make sure that it's going to work.
But we didn't get the Ginsu knife because we didn't sign up that day,
Right.
Charlie.
The Armor radio charges, that discussion was tabled. Office 365 update. The BCA has finally approved the use of Office 365. IT would like to fund the first 2 years with CIP money. This would include professional services and training for all county employees. The first 2 years would be used to evaluate the proper license level and determine more accurate ongoing costs. So what they're going to do is just take a few and work with it, and not do an overall upgrade to Office 365.
The BCA, what,
There's security
Bureau of
things.
Criminal Apprehension?
Yeah, there was security things because you have privacy information that's going in.
The advantage of Office 365 is that it's cloud-based. So we wouldn't have as many servers around here, so there's less demand on IT. But BCA had an issue with the way, and the FBI had no problem with it, but the BCA had more concerns with it. They finally have approved it. So because it's the email server that's in the cloud.
Just don't remember them ever giving us input in the past, but maybe they have and I wasn't aware on different softwares.
For approval?
Yeah.
Well, this is because of the
The tie-in with the sheriffs.
yeah, and the email servers.
But this would, yeah, but this would apply to every department, right? Not just the sheriff's department, all the departments.
Right,
Yeah.
but because the BCA hadn't approved it,
Okay.
we wouldn't have implemented it. So there would be a lot of training involved in switching to 365, but it does, and I personally have 365 in my business, but it provides a lot of additional services than what we currently have. There are different licensing levels, and they're trying to figure out who needs what. For commissioners that are just using email, they really don't need a full license.
Why pay for it?
So they're trying to figure out who needs the full, who needs limited. They were talking about certain attorneys that really don't do a lot of work either. No, so it's just information, looking at it, trying to evaluate what's the best for the county for the long term.
Is there a motion to approve?
I'll approve it.
Motion by Dryden,
Second.
second by Burrell. Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair, on this Everbridge mass notification, it was noted that it's more expensive than Code Red, but the price is immaterial if you can't get the information out there to the people. I mean, the information out there is the critical part of it, and that's why I'm happy to have something that actually will get there and not the big headache.
Right, and we're not talking millions of dollars, we're talking
No,
another
we're talking
10,000.
yeah.
But you know, the advantage of this system is that, you know, even for, well, what happened over in County Road 19?
Correct.
They would be able to notify just that area.
Target that area.
Yep. You know, the cities could do it.
The cities could
You know,
also have.
could work with us. So there is, as far as notification and getting as much information out to the residents, now they do have to sign up for it. But still, there's some great benefits to it.
And, Mr. Chair, that was the idea for Code Red, that, like saying in Delano, when
The flood or stuff.
floods are coming, supposedly everyone in that area would get a phone call, and if it's not working right, what good does it do? So,
Well, I know whenever there's a storm, I sure get enough notice on that, and all I have to do is turn on my TV and I can just see it at home, but
Yeah, the problem.
emails.
Yeah.
That's different
but
than
The problem is, though, this is cell phone also, you know, so you can sign it up for your home phone, your cell phone, emails, you can do a number of different things.
Yeah.
You know, and if you lose power, then you have the advantage of your cell phone, and you don't, you know, if you'd like to have texts, then you can get a text.
And
So,
if we can only have one person in the county sending these out, not one person in two different departments, so we get the same message, that would be a good idea too.
you notice
Yeah.
that too, huh?
Yeah.
No, I agree. But it would, there's a lot more advantages to this.
I'm not
system.
sure who's all getting them. Maybe there's some people that are only getting them from one and some people from the other, but
I think we're all
some
getting
of us are
them.
getting them from two.
I think we're all getting them from two. The same thing, so.
Lee, you know what we're talking about there, I assume.
I think I figured it out.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimous. Advisory, oh, no, I guess we got the
Committee of the whole, nuclear.
scheduled committee of the whole nuclear.
As I mentioned earlier, this would be continuing the discussion that we started earlier in the year about potentially making some changes of where these duties would fall. I talked with the players at the staff level yesterday and tried to come up with a few dates that might work for them as well as possibly for the board. We looked at doing after the board meeting on the 16th, if that would work for the board.
thought we had something else going on that day or something.
Well, we have potential budget committee meetings that day, but,
Based on the availability I've got back thus far from the department heads, we're probably not going to be starting until the 22nd for budget meetings.
okay.
Okay.
Also have crime
And I
lab,
know
safe
there
school.
is a,
Yeah,
You're busy.
yeah, I have crime lab, but I also have a,
The all school,
The all-
safe school.
is that,
That's at 1 o'clock, I think.
safe schools is in
schools
the
is?
afternoon.
And we have a public hearing, well, Fairland, all good.
I have another, they're looking at an Alzheimer's group. And I said I could make that at 11:30, so I'm,
Well, you can always tell me you forgot about the meeting.
Hey, Mr. Chair, I got a feeling that
forgot.
the meeting of the 16th is going to be very lengthy.
Possibly.
See, we've had two of them in a row that have been kind of light, and we don't meet next week, and I got a feeling the 16th it's going to pile up pretty hard.
If it's helpful, another date we talked about was on the 10th in the early afternoon. That's a committee day in the morning. I didn't think we'd be able, the way committee's shaping up, to be able to fit this in.
I would be available after.
1 PM
1 PM Wednesday?
on the 10th, folks?
But could we do it earlier or not?
No, we got committee meetings
Committee
in the
meetings,
morning.
okay.
Are you available on the
Well, it's
10th
just,
in the
it's a
afternoon?
corn carnival's going on, so.
The what?
Corn carnival in Cokato, so.
What time does that start, Charlie?
Well, it'll be going on probably mid-morning, I'm gonna guess.
Oh.
1 o'clock's fine. We'll
Is
do
that
it.
all day then?
Yeah, we'll
or
go into the
all week?
evening. No, it
one
goes
day.
Corn all
Monday,
day long,
Tuesday,
Charlie.
Wednesday. Monday, Tuesday, that's the last day. We don't
Oh,
go into
well,
the-
Monday, Tuesday, you'll have enough partying there.
Okay, all right, 1 o'clock.
You can start Tuesday at 8 AM because we don't have a board meeting, so that'll be good. Just make sure you use dental floss before you come on Wednesday.
Okay. Can I just do it here? Pardon my
Mr.
wife.
Chair, I'll make a motion to set the Wednesday, August 10th, for committee to hold to test nuclear at 1 o'clock. Meet right here, I gather.
I'll
Yep.
second that.
Probably have enough players that would want to be in here, but we can play it by ear depending on how many we have. If we've got enough that we can fit in there, that might just be as well too, but I don't know, whatever you think, Lee.
I think we'll have about 9 or so, so it'll be
We
cozy in
just sit
there.
back there, huh?
Yeah.
Whatever.
We'll plan it for back in the commissioners' conference room, and if we get kind of crowded, we'll
Always
bring it
crowded.
out here.
Okay, did we get a second to that?
Yeah, I seconded.
Second by Chris. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Motion carries unanimous. As long as we're on the topic of committee of the holes, do we have one today at 10:30?
Yes,
Yes.
And what is the topic of that discussion?
continuing the strategic plan
Strategic
discussion.
Okay. I thought we did, but then I didn't, sometimes I know it's noted
Yeah,
on the end.
it
here,
is.
and it's-
It is on there.
Oh, there it is. I was looking for it down lower yet. There it is, okay. Advisory committee, advisory board updates.
I'm ready.
You ready?
Charlie, you've got the most to talk about probably. You were
Well,
our
just-
fair ambassador.
Yep, I'll come up with that in a second. I wanted to just touch, we mentioned the armor radios and the technology I got tabled, but at the last Emergency Services Board last week, Pat, you're gonna love this, but they've been watching the crime lab thing, the way it's worked out, and some of these smaller counties feel that it's not fair to be charged by the usage of the radios that they have, so they want it to be just population. So we have one small county that's 5,000 people. They have 305 radios. Wright County has 905 with 130,000 people. So that if we just base it on population, they're gonna come out really good.
Yeah.
They have a third of our radios. in
They
there.
have 5,000 people.
Yep.
They have a third of our radios, and they only want to pay like 3% of the
They
cost.
think it's, well, we're doing it with the crime lab, so they said there's no reason why we can't do it
No,
with
we're
the
not doing it
radios.
with the crime lab.
Well, it's kind of
We're
based
doing it
on
on
population.
population.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah.
Yeah, so they just wanna take the ball and run with it.
But we're disagreeing with the way the crime lab
Yeah.
is doing it.
Yeah, well,
Charlie's disagreeing with the way they want to do this too, so.
there's a lot of small counties in that group, though, that's the thing.
No, I think
It goes all the way, no, it goes all the way out west. I mean, there's some really small counties.
Well, so do we have to be players? I mean, can anybody basically say, hey, look, you can do that, but then we're just gonna form us larger counties will do our own thing, and you guys can see how much it'll cost
It's,
you then?
it's something that I will object to, and then they just introduced it the last meeting, and I'm like, whoa, that's, you know,
Now, I guess the question then becomes is, there's a way you fund it, and you could fund it by usage, or you could fund it by population. Is that, how do the costs stack up? Are the costs related to the number of radios and the usage?
it is, I mean, because you have the overhead, I mean, there's a fixed rate, you know, fixed costs with a lot of this, but we do, the thing is, it is based somewhat on a population already. They just want it to go all populations. So. Anyway, I just thought I'd introduce that, and whoever, you know, we just need to keep an eye on it, so. And then, the fair, great fair this year, all you guys were
Can I
down
go
there.
back to the last topic? I'm sorry, but.
Oh, go ahead.
Is Sherburne County in that group?
No, wait, I do not, I'm not positive, it breaks off right around there.
Okay.
Benton, Stearns, us, Sherburne, I don't think, for some reason, I don't
Okay,
remember
okay.
seeing Sherburne guys up there.
I was just wondering what their commissioners thought of this idea
Because
where
they might
someone
not
would.
come out, they wouldn't come out good on this even.
Well, exactly right.
I came out to one meeting with you, and I
That
don't recall
would be
Sherburne
good.
County being there, Charlie.
Okay.
What's that?
I subbed for you that one time at
Yeah.
the radio board meeting, and I don't recall Sherburne County. being
That's what I'm saying, I don't think
Well, it
so.
would make sense that Bruce Anderson would be the Sherburne
you know
appointee by
what?
virtue of
Oh,
his,
yeah, Bruce is there.
Bruce is there?
Yep, so Sherburne is on.
So what did he say about that?
I didn't, he
whole
wasn't
thing?
I didn't see him at the
He
last
didn't show
meeting.
up the one I went to either.
Yes,
Anyway, yeah,
Sherburne
that's
is.
right, Sherburne, yeah, because Bruce is there.
Sherburne
time to
is,
time.
yes.
He's
Nope,
actually
is not
there
part of it, are they?
No, just looking here, Benton, Big Stone, Douglas, Grant, Candy, Ojai, Meeker, Mille Lacs, Morrison, Pope, Sherburne, Stern, Stevens, Swift, Traverse, there's a big group.
There's
Just
some-
looking in past
some
minutes
small
here who
counties.
It'll be
attended.
interesting to see how they dance around this one.
It takes a whole St. Cloud council chambers to fill that up. They're sitting all over the place.
Yeah, it's a lot of counties. Okay, can I go on to the fair?
Sure.
Okay, I said it was a great fair, actually, set another record. Every day of the fair this year, except Thursday, was a record-breaking day.
For attendance?
Yep, so we
Wow.
had, and I don't have the official count, but it's gonna be somewhere in 68,500 for the fair.
Said it was up
And-
5,000 this year.
What's that?
It was up 5,000 this year from last year.
I think about 2,000 over last year.
Oh.
That's, But
I think they reported on the Radio 5, but I might have heard it wrong.
And I tell you what, I talked with a lot of people up there, and I was talking with a vendor. I mentioned this to Dennis Bizey, I relayed it on, but he was a vendor, he's from Wilmer, and he said he goes to a lot of fairs. He said there's no one that he goes to that has better facilities, then it's more organized and stuff. He said the bathrooms on down, he said everything was just clean. And the reason I started talking with the guy, I was in the bathroom, I was washing my hands, and I said, it is so nice to have warm water, because, and he says, then he went on to tell me, he said this is the best fair he ever attends, so I thought that was pretty good, a nice compliment for us, so. And the fair board, I mentioned at the senior day, you know, those guys, like I said, they're just tireless workers, and they, you know, really do deserve the accolades, because they work hard to make that to go, and we have so many other organizations. The FFA alumni was, you know, after the fair, they're up there cleaning up the manure, doing all this stuff, so there's just so many people that contribute beyond the fair board too, so it's
During the fair, they virtually live.
4-H, FFA, the alumni, I mean, I shouldn't name names because I'll forget half of them or more, but there's just so many groups that contribute to the fair and to make it come out really good, and I think it was a super success. Anyway, that's it for me.
I didn't make it to the fair. I just had too many things going on, but I promise next year I will be there.
Okay,
Support you, Charlie.
hopefully.
That's your report?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's all I had.
Oh, is that Mark's report?
Yeah, I don't have anything.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute.
Go ahead.
And you guys will be hearing more about it, but the dike over in Otsego, I was over there looking at it because we're having some major issues with some washout just before the dike.
Oh, yeah.
And the dike has some really good-sized trees growing up in it.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to actually probably do some spraying on part of it this year, and we're going to look at trying to do something on doing some work on those areas in the future here. And we'll be discussing more of it at budget time, but a little bit of heads up.
Okay, couple things, fair related. Congratulations to Charlie and his wife for a Century Farm. They got a Century Farm Award
Oh, I didn't
on
hear
Senior
that.
Day. He was too modest to mention that today, but I think it was like 108 years or something like that the farm is? or-
1906, I think we then came into the family.
110 years, okay. So in the number, there was about 3 or 4 other
I think 4 total, yeah.
Century Farms as well, so that was nice to see. The Senior Day was a really nice event, of course, it always is, but had a couple very deserving individuals who just do so much for our county. Charlie, you remember their names of the 2 folks?
Was it Peterson was the guy, and no, the answer is no.
Okay, we should probably maybe figure that out and
Well,
announce their names.
Ed will figure it out and put it in the paper.
Ed, yeah, Ed, you know off the top of your head, I'm sure their names have been listed in the paper in Buffalo, but.
Yeah, from Annandale.
Yeah, she's from
Okay.
Ed.
So, yeah, they listed their achievements, and it's just always mind-boggling to hear all the things that these individuals do. It's like they're working full-time volunteering. It's just
Yeah.
unbelievable what they
And the
contribute.
Martys that came in and did the presentation here were the farm family.
Yeah,
of the
they
year.
got their award for that at that event. I assume that's the same thing they came in here for, right? That was,
Yes.
yeah, they actually got awarded there, so that was nice. But, let's see here. Oh, I had a Magic Board meeting yesterday, Minnesota Governments Investing Counties and Minnesota Association of Government Investing Counties, and we always get a real nice quarterly report on the economy and where interest rates and that sort of thing are going. And basically, relative to us bonding here at some point in the future for courts building and redoing the jail facility, it continues to look good. As a result of various things going on, the expectation is that rates are going to remain low into the foreseeable future. So the expectation of the gentleman that we have, who's a pretty sharp guy, is that at the next time the Fed meets, that they won't do anything to the interest rates in part because of the economy and in part because of the presidential elections coming up. So. But, and relative to Britain's exit and whatnot, and the impact that, of course, seemed to have some really short-term impacts, and then that stuff kind of corrected itself in most of Europe. One thing, he showed a chart of the different bond interest rates in Europe was very interesting. There's like 5 countries in Europe that if you get a 2-year bond, you actually get less back than the money you give. On 2-year bonds, and there is 1 or 2 that on a 10-year bond you get less back. He said, it's very interesting, here in the United States, if let's say you owe the government taxes, for example, or bank money, if you don't pay them on time, you get a penalty. There, if you pay early, you get a penalty in some of those countries, which is just kind of hard to wrap your head around, so it's like, but anyhow, that's...
They want to stick with their budgets perfectly.
Well, because the money has no value collecting interest, and I suppose there's a cost associated with holding it. I mean, you just can't stick it in that room. If you put it there, you gotta have, people have to watch it, and, there's costs associated with just hanging on to the money because there's risk, so.
Why wouldn't all their money be coming over here then? I know a lot of it is coming here.
Well, I think I asked him that same exact question about a year or 2 ago. With global markets and everything, why does anybody invest then in the bonds there? And they say they have laws in those countries that will say something like, if you invest in bonds, you have to keep 40% of it domestic and you can only invest 60% elsewhere. So if they're in the investment game, they're required to buy some local bonding, and that's...
They don't have a choice.
That's why, otherwise they can't be in the game, so. That's why that is, so. But again, because of the global market of things, that, you know, those lower rates there are negative rates, really, I'm sure, have an impact on keeping ours lower, so. And relative to the Magic Fund has been around since, I think, around 1990 or something, 91. Right about the time I got on the board is when the Magic Fund started. And it may have got like approved in 90 and started doing its work in 1991. But for the first time now, we broke the $1 billion threshold. We had $1.06 billion of county money that was being overseen by the Magic Board within the last quarter for the first time ever. So those numbers go up and down drastically. I suspect that number was probably hit just shortly after tax time in May, because the money comes in and a lot of auditor treasurers quickly put it into the Magic Fund because they have total liquidity with it, and they can put it in there real fast and get an interest rate that's not large, and then they can decide where they want to maybe invest it more long-term, and then they pull it out of there at a later time. But again, $1.06 billion, the first time we've broken that $1 billion threshold, so.
What is the interest rate they're paying us right now?
Actually, Wright County doesn't use the Magic Fund.
We do use them, but we use them minimally.
I didn't think we did.
Yeah, and more so, I think there's been a new product that the Magic Fund has created just within about a year ago, where there's actually a fixed interest now, where you put your money in for like a 2-year period, and then that pays a higher rate. I think that's around 2% or something like that, Charlie. But then the more daily one is lower than that. I don't know if it's maybe just under 1% or something like that. Of course, it varies.
But then it's more liquid then.
It's more liquid, yeah, total liquidity on it and that sort of thing. But I think, in answer to your question, or I think looking at it in the last quarter, we were number 38 in how much we invested relative to the different counties. I think Anoka was number 1. They had the most invested. And then they listed like the top 50 counties or entities. And there's some other groups too that, if you're county related, so let's say you're a joint powers organization that's made up of 4 counties or something like that, you're eligible then to contribute because you're made up of counties. So, but of the top 50, we were number 38. So we're not, I think we had like $5 million or something like that invested in the last quarter. But for a while, Bob was kind of reluctant because he could find better investment tools.
Yeah, that's
You
right.
know.
I remember him saying that.
But like I said, I think he's been participating now in that other,
Good.
in that fixed one. But so anyhow, and then I don't know if anybody else got notice of this or not, but on tomorrow, Wednesday, out at Pelican Lake, there's the DNR, and I think maybe Fish and Wildlife's doing it with them, but I know the DNR has got, they're doing some sort of a tour of some of the different sites they have out there and what they're doing with them as far as kind of some reclaiming of property, and I'm sure they're going to talk about lowering of the lake levels, and nobody got that. I will forward to you.
Forward to me, sure.
The thing I got. I apologize for not letting anybody know about that sooner. I guess I didn't necessarily know that I was the only one that was aware, so I'll get that out to you guys right after the meeting here. I've got an email from Fred Bankston with a schedule that I'll shoot out to you.
Thank you.
And that's all I got for you. Mike?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Your interest rate funding, the stability of it hasn't gone anywhere, is because Fed Board Chair Janice Yellen didn't do what she said she was going to do. She's been apprehensive on moving. Good news for us, great news, because if she'd have done her little manifest destiny, it would have affected the bond rates, but she didn't do it. With good news for us. I did have a meeting last Friday with the Highway 25 Coalition, and we were introduced to Kodiak Hill from David Church and Associates, lobbyists that Sherburne County has on retainer. And unfortunately, like we've had this discussion before, we shouldn't have to hire lobbyists, but that's the rules of the sandbox. We do it. So you introduced there, we had established the previous means we established the conduct a traffic study in 2017 at an estimated cost of $150,000, with setting specific goals related to the lobbying and how we maximize the fast Act and the fast lane within the FAST Act, which helps coordinate with the, in this crossing, this connection here, it meets all the criteria for it, so we got to get ourselves in line to get that potential, get that money. When we look at is with the David Church and Associates, they're going to get back to us with what a cost for the first year of lobbying would be. Even though Sherburne County has them on retainer and they're real comfortable with them, they also do St. Cloud APO and Stearns County also. We just want to know what the cost is, how deep the water is, because we can't piggyback off Sherburne County because this is a whole separate deal. Find out where it's at, that'll come back at a future meeting, and we'll get that into the fee schedule. We should get that.
Can I ask a question relative to that? Because you mentioned if this firm does St. Cloud APO, and did you say the city of St. Cloud or Stearns County?
Stearns County and Sherburne County.
Does the St. Cloud APO and Stearns County have a position on this bridge? And I guess that'd be, do you know if they do or not, or?
They have not indicated any position whatsoever. It's supposed to have been Sherburne County. This was just background, who they represent up on that corridor. Because the 10 corridor, I think St. Cloud APO and that 11 coming up on where it matches 10, I think they might be chiming in on that interchange that's going to happen up there.
Because I know they've had big position on the one between Monticello and St. Cloud. And I just, if they have a position on this, just so we don't have a conflict of interest with our,
Good point.
you know, with our lobbyists here, that the APO doesn't want something that the folks down here do, and
They have
it's
a
just,
higher
you
priority.
know what I mean? Well, yeah, I just
Okay,
want,
so that's a good question.
I'm not saying there is a conflict, but I just think we need to know if the APO or St. Cloud or Stearns has a position on this bridge or not, and if they do, you know, is there a problem here?
That's a good point.
I mean, if their position is they are agreeable to what Sherburne and Monticello and Big Lake and Sherburne and Wright want, then I guess it's not a conflict, but if their position is different, we got a problem.
That's a good point to ask the question right now before we get too far into it. Previous meetings, we talked about the job preparing the scope of services assigned the 2 county engineers. And I think Sherburne County's engineer starts pretty quick here. Maybe within a week, their new engineer. Their former engineer retired. And
Who's their new person?
was that another Anoka County?
I don't know.
I believe it was Anoka
was
County
open, but-
refugee. They've been remember kind of the once we get the new hire, get their feet wet, we're just keep meeting the last Friday every month just to keep this moving forward. And Monticello was did an update on the improvements on 25 and 7th Street, Monticello, because they've gotten the downtown one done, now it's up to 7th Street, they're going to be moving over to there. In Sherburne County, some of the transportation topic is interest because they got controversy over on that side, which way to do, that's not for us to worry about too much. And I gave a little bit of I-94 coalition update and how that fits in. This 25 coalition, with the scope of this, with that 1,300 acre multimodal rail park, what do they call it, does fit into the 94 perfectly and actually enhances everything. Both need to go hand in hand, kind of. So it's the idea is because the FAST Act is 8-year program that's been funded for the first 4 years, and the fast lane within that is exclusively for corridors of commerce on a national level and job creation and that. So this ties in well, so we got to keep going. It's just for information. I will call Steve Taylor from Sherburne County and get his take on what the APO, and I'll call Commissioner Peterson because he sits on that APO up there and see what their thought is on that, just to make sure there's still a good point to raise on that one, Mr. Chair. And I forward this to you, Commissioner Viswatsky, all the stuff we're doing here.
Yeah, thank you.
And just to make sure you're involved, and Tom, I should imagine that Mr. O'Neill keeps you informed on this pretty good? Okay. The only other question I have, Mr. Chair, is back to that dreaded, lingering question. River Rider. I was expecting them to get back to us.
I think I forwarded out to you guys an email I got from Shelley
Oh,
here about 3-4 weeks ago or so, didn't I? Where basically he was asking the MinDOT people, I think it was an email he had sent to MinDOT saying, people are asking me where this is at, where is this at, and I'm not, and what did he say? That he got some sort of a verbal response that it was pretty much done, there was a couple little minor discrepancies, and something should be forthcoming soon. I think that's kind of what it said is.
Yeah,
Folks remember? I think I
recall,
sent, I think I forwarded that email to
Yeah,
everybody
you-
here.
You did.
Yeah.
I just, because they told us a month ago that was forthcoming in here, a month, 2 month, 3 month. So hoping to get that resolved so we can,
Well, when they said soon, they misspoke.
Well, maybe they're waiting until January.
It's possible too that
Soon is relative.
it's possible just with all the discord right now with Trailblazer and all the upheaval that's going down there, that they're maybe reevaluating things too.
I don't think that has much to do with this, because this is a final exit audit type thing.
This should be separate.
This should be completely
Yeah.
separate, should be able to get their thing done, make their opinions or whatever they want to say, and close the books on this one.
They could be looking at the calendar and looking at January.
Yeah, could be. Thank you for,
Time will tell. Maybe we'll hear about it tomorrow. I don't know.
Maybe.
Chris?
Yeah, our Central Minnesota EMS met on Friday, and discussion about more stable funding sources for, to help support our local EMS, their certifications, and a lot of these small departments don't have funds for all this, and this is one of the things that we've been doing is giving them grants. They request grants for different training and equipment, that kind of thing. So, for example, Wright County, we have 22 total agencies, but there was 4 that requested reimbursement for training or equipment. So that amounted to $7,690, and from fiscal 2015 to 2016. And with seatbelt dollars going down, which is a good thing, with 94% of people wearing their seatbelts, they just, you cannot count on that for an amount. I mean, in 2011, was it, had like, yeah, even 2011, $209,000 each of the 8 regions was getting, and now we're down to 78,000 estimated for 2017. So that's a huge reduction. So it doesn't make sense to me to base something on a moving target.
victim
You
of
can't.
their own success.
You can't. Yeah. You want people to be compliant. So it's. Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that. And the critical incident calls, that they have a team that goes out, and if there's something that's particularly traumatic, they had 11 calls from January to June, and actually there was calls in all of the 8 counties, and Wright County had 1 call out. So it's a good thing for the people that are responding to certain incidents that are hard to deal with. So they've got a good team that does that. And the fair was great. I took a few of my grandchildren, and we went to all the have to see all the animals, and even did a couple rides. And then they also went to the bull riding, and that was fun. 2 of my grandsons got to do the sheep riding. My youngest one, Dan,
Mutton
kind of said,
busted.
yeah. My 7-year-old, he stayed on for a long time. My 8-year-old grandson had kind of a real rough rider, so he didn't stand so long. And my youngest grandson, he can't wait till next year because he wants to do that. So we'll see what happens. Then the demo derby, and so yeah, it was. I didn't get there every day, but I enjoyed it when I was there.
So Charlie, how long did you stay on the sheep?
He rode Captain Jack.
I did
That
go,
wasn't too hard to stay on him, was it?
I did go up and see him though, but everybody that went up and saw him, he's always laying down. I don't know when the thing gets up to eat or goes.
I think they eat laying down. They just stick their head in the trough. And I've seen one of those big boars do that before. They just they lean their head over the trough and they eat while they're laying down.
Everyone I talked to said he was laying down. I'm like,
Oh,
when does he
yeah.
get up? But he was the largest boar at the state fair last year, and they can't bring the
Really?
same pig down the next year. But he's actually about
120 pounds heavier.
120 pounds bigger than last year even. So he is huge.
Yeah, last year was 1,080. This year 1,200.
Yeah,
Wow.
That's a big pig.
he's huge.
That's a lot of bacon.
That's a lot
Well,
of
Dennis
bacon.
had the
That's,
biggest one in the state a few years
think-
back too, and
Yeah,
I don't know how big that one was.
It was Bisey Farms that owns it. So Dennis's brother, I think. is Ken Bisey.
Oh, it's Dennis's brother, or
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But yeah, they had a big one a few years back, and that one actually kind of toured other states too. And I remember it was
Really?
down like in Iowa, and they were having a hard time getting them back because of I forget what it was. He was at some. Nobody wanted to pay to haul them back up here, or what it was. It's like your pig's down here. I don't, he got down there, and I don't.
Or like Charlie said, he was laying down, they couldn't get him up to get him on the trailer.
Ask Dennis whatever happened to that pig a few years ago that was like down in Iowa, and he couldn't get him back. But
They butchered him in Iowa.
well, could be. Well, my son, he got the armband for the rides and made the mistake of getting on. I think they call it the Ring of Fire, the one that.
Yeah,
He was
that's sick.
not feeling so well after that, but
Was it all the greasy food he ate before?
No,
I don't know if he did much eating before. I think
I
it was
can't
more
do
the
rides.
ride, but
my son,
he did quite a bit of eating afterwards. But the cheese curds were his favorite. 10:18. There being no further business, we are adjourned.